Turn on that radio and back here. The cops ain't likely to catch up with us, not tonight. So we can all be quiet and peaceable and listen to the music.
False start. It's a false start.
False start. We're not on the screen. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to Auto Dealer Live.
Yo, it's 3:30. Dave Cribbs, how you doing today?
I'm good, man.
What's up with that shirt? Did you get? Hey, everybody. Dave Cribbs got a job at Foot Locker.
I got a. All right.
Everybody, his new job.
Yeah, I work at Journeys. Does Journeys do that too? Or is it just Foot Locker?
He would know.
Just Foot Locker. We have an journeyman here. So
he had that good shoe oil.
Mr. Ezra. Top sales August 2015 in the house.
He got the golden shoe that month.
Sneakers at the mall. This
What'd you
boy.
do?
Nice. Top salesman August 2015. He is totally versed in Converse, so he's good to go. So what do you think, man?
Well, I was going to ask you why you're wearing the referee outfit
Well,
today.
you know, hey, I'm wearing the referee just in case it gets a little rough. I can stay in the neutral zone.
Mm-hmm.
I can say encroachment. Guess number 2. Well, how was that? I don't even know the signals, bro.
Let me see it again.
Encroachment. Is that encroachment? A little encroachment?
I don't know.
Whatever it is, I don't know.
See you do it again.
I do watch football. I just don't even remember what encroachment signal was. But, you know, just in case I need to call foul. But we're going to have some fun today, man.
Yes, I hope there shall be some encroachment, hopefully, at some point today. You know, I got a lot of problems with you people, and I'm going to air them out today. That's what's going to happen. I don't have that. That was a little George Costanza, right? No, that was a little Frank Costanza.
Yeah, probably.
The airing of grievances for Festivus. Anywho, yeah, so we have, I mean, tell them a little bit about the show. What are we talking about today?
Really, you know, what we're going to really talk about today is sort of an elephant in the room, not so much in the room, but it's
not
out.
Lou.
It's something that, you know, we continue to see. We continue to see in social media because obviously today with social media and how big the car business is makes it very, very small all of a sudden. So,
yeah.
You know, we see a lot of. I don't know, man. I guess for lack of a better way of phrasing it, we see a lot of sort of mudslinging at times or different things. And we start to see people who form like camps or cliques or, you know, circles. And we're going to find out today, number one, Tommy, if it's for good reason. Is it justified? I mean, is it just part of life? Is it part of the business? Or, you know, is there something that maybe, is there a better way? And maybe how do the dealers feel about this? Because quite frankly, you know, if we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, let's really talk about it. It's mainly, from what I see, kind of on the vendor side of things. You know, I don't know if it's spawned from deals gone wrong, you know, bad feelings from people who maybe moved from one vendor to another.
I would venture to say it's probably a combination. Although also there's so much vendor competition. You know what I mean? There's so much,
yeah.
and there's. I mean, how many different things can companies do, right? At some point, you got to be overlapping. So there has to be some of that contention has to be with, you know, what we do for our dealers on this thing is better than your thing. You know, I mean, there's got to be a little bit of that, no?
Yeah, and I think, you know, in order to sell your product, you have to be kind of sold. So it's going to be your baby. You're going to be passionate about it. And I think, I think some would probably say, maybe some of those out there who have either maybe kind of hang out with a particular group of people they surround themselves with, or maybe have shied away from certain other groups or individuals, would maybe argue the point that, hey, I've chosen this path because I don't really agree. I think that this person or this business over here is not only not necessarily superior, but maybe harming the business. So there's maybe some justification in that if you think about if you love this business, the auto industry, and maybe you see someone out there or a company out there that you don't think has the right motives, pure motives, or maybe you know, doing something that's healthy for dealers, then maybe it's justified. I don't know. I'm not going to be the one to judge. See, that's why I got the
Actually, the referee, I
the
think,
referee
actually
does
makes
judge.
you the
Okay,
judge.
okay.
You put yourself in
sit
judging
over here
position.
in the corner. You come over here.
Yes. Well, let me ask you this, Cribs. What, we talked about cliques and little groups and stuff. Like in high school, what clique were you in? What did you fall into?
Oh man, I got to tell you, man, I was kind of a hodgepodge of different things. I was never really in one particular clique.
You were that kid that could be cool with all the cliques? Were you that kid?
I don't want to go that far, but I was definitely a little more independent. I wasn't really attached to one particular social group.
Did you wear eye makeup?
I look, what I do on the weekends, we're not going to talk about that. So, no, but hey, we got a great show coming up. Obviously, also another elephant in the room, our great leader, CEO here of IPD and host of the show. He is out enjoying a well-deserved vacation. More than likely, he's not going to be able to resist tuning in at some point, whether now or maybe a little bit later.
He's right down by the beach.
And by the way, Dave, if you're listening, call in, man. Today, and while we're saying that, today really is about open phones. I mean, we have a few guests on the show today.
Thank you.
But really, it's an opportunity for you to call in. And we'd love to hear from not only vendors out there that maybe have had an experience. Maybe there's something that has happened that's either caused a little bit of bad blood. And by the way, the show's not about airing all the dirty laundry and creating feuds. What we're talking about today is the health of what's happening out there. Is this healthy for our industry? Is it, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. We'll hear from our viewers today, but also how do dealers feel about it? And if you're a dealer, I'm going to definitely encourage you to call in and give us your perspective of maybe some things you've seen that maybe you were thinking about doing business with someone and something you saw on social media turned you a different direction. So I'd love to hear from you on that.
Do you guys see this number here?
Tommy, what's the number?
It's 813-574-1820. It's always right here, right?
Yes.
That's always there. But 813-574-1820. When you call us up, say, "Hey Lou,
Yes,
I want to." That's what they would say that to you. They'd say,
know.
"Hey Lou, I want to talk. I want to air my opinion about this thing. I got an opinion. I want it to be heard." You can hashtag Auto Dealer Live. You're on Twitter. You can message on Facebook. We have a little teleprompter here that gives us all the Facebook messages that come up, any notifications that we need to know about, questions, concerns, valid points, something you want to address with the panel. Bring it up. We'll talk about it. Let's get you guys involved because this is your show after all, right?
Yeah, every
Right.
week. Yeah, absolutely. And every week, Tommy, we read the comments from viewers, and we try to get as many as we can in. Sometimes it's more challenging, but really today we're kind of wrapping it around that as well. So
Yes.
Support the show, call in, give us your opinion. Most importantly, be heard, right? Be heard. So what do you say, Tommy? You ready to?
I say we do a little quick commercial. We
All
pay
right.
the bills real quick. We come back. What you got? 30? We'll come back in 30 seconds.
30
so
seconds.
Come back and see us. Hey.
Hi, I'm Chip Perry. The pledge was and is an action plan designed to address head-on the concerns that many of you told me about right after I took this job. Thus far, our dealer pledge has been aimed at fixing the major pain points that you told us about related to our product, our customer service, and our consumer advertising. I'd like to reiterate that our dealer pledge is our ongoing commitment to you, our dealer customers, and we will continue to work hard to improve our service to you.
And we're back.
back.
Thank you, TrueCar.
30 seconds goes bam like that. It's almost like
It's like twice as long as Lou brushed his teeth.
It's like half a minute. Yeah.
It's like half a minute. It's gone.
It's like half a minute and it's gone. Hey, welcome back to the show. Today we titled the show Showdown. What we're really talking about are some of those wars that are waged out there on social media within our industry, probably more in particular on the vendor side, but maybe you have a situation with dealer waging war, whatever the case may be. But today we've got a great panel on. We're going to ask you to weigh in. Call in 813-574-1820. We'll get you on the line. Make sure that you're posting your comments on Facebook. But without further ado, we're going to go to our panel today. We have with us Chris Saraceno, Vice President and Partner at Kelly Automotive Group. We've got Noel Walsh. He's the CEO of NW&A LLC. By the way, Tommy, whenever I see Noel's NW&A LLC, you know where I'm going because you were here.
Yeah.
you know, you're from this area, and years ago in the South, the wrestling, you know, they had the wrestling divisions divided up, and the South was the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. So every time I see that, I
totally thought you were going with the straight out of Compton reference. Oh,
okay. No, I'm not out of Compton, but
No, he went each
but yeah. So anyway, I'm just showing my age. But CEO of NW and A LLC, Conquer What You Chase Sales Training, Mr. Noel Walsh, and later joining us will be Elise Kephart. We'll intro her in just a bit. Oh, she is. She's on already.
Oh,
okay.
fantastic.
So, and we have Elise Kephart, owner at the Elise Kephart Experience. Lady and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I tripped in a little bit later today, last minute, but excited to be here.
Awesome.
It's been a while.
Glad to have you. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Great to have you back on, Elise. So, Tommy, go ahead, man. Get this party started.
Okay, so we talk about these camps, right? Elise, talk about these camps. Talk about. I know you've had some social media. You know, some.
Let's call it drama.
Okay, drama. For lack of a better way to put it. Okay, so a little bit of drama. Why don't you give your side of the story, your case? Let's talk about it.
Well, one of the things that you brought up was, you know, and when the intro was like, hey, it seems like there's a lot of vendors and kind of on the side of things. You know, in all honesty, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. You know, for me, it's when I remember working at a dealer, and you kind of have, if you want to call it your camps too, right? Your team member, your people that you align with a little bit better when you're working at a dealership. Whether it's kind of like your go-to person that you know, like whenever you need to, you know, get a delivery done, they'll do it for like a free lunch, and vice versa. You know, they'll scratch your back, and then you have the other salesperson that's just like, you know, that you just don't vibe with 100%. And within the dealership, I think there's a fair share of certain discrepancies amongst each other. It's kind of new for me though, because, you know, I've been flew by, but I've been out of Honda now for it was 3 years in May, and not only did those 3 years fly by, but I've seen from the outside looking in exactly what this topic is about today, where they're even before this recent kind of stuff, really not involving myself. The last couple of years, I've seen it from the outside, where I always feel it's like, you know that this person and this person have beef, and this person, and it's like, it's just so much noise. It's exhausting. Like we
were talking about it a little bit, and we were trying to figure out where that beef stemmed from. So what is it jealousy? Is it just like a competitiveness within the, where do you see, or some of the things you've seen firsthand, where do you think it stems from?
You know, for me personally, I mean, I don't say, for those of you that know me, I'm a very humble person. I don't say this but for me personally, like I like to think that I vibe well. And when I say vibe well, I really don't, I like to associate myself with positive people, genuine people, positive, you know, people like myself, like that's how, you know. And I think when you run into maybe a situation where it goes against who, you know, it doesn't grain right for the type of person, for example, that you may be, and that's where conflict kind of happens, you know, because if you have somebody that just doesn't see eye to eye and sees things that for a person that doesn't get frustrated easily and doesn't, but just it's truly frustrating. I think that's kind of how the situation arises, I guess. Yeah, it's not necessarily. I don't say this to bash on anybody. I think it happens. I mean, heck, I have family members that I don't vibe with well all the time, you know. So it's not necessarily I didn't want this to be by any means, and I know you guys made it clear, like a hate fest or a baggage fest or a dirty laundry fest. But I do think, I think that for me, and I think for people listening and people on the show, I mean, I think every one of us, like given the choice, would rather just like, boom, put your head down. It's tough sometimes. You got to bite your tongue. You got to you got to just kind of cancel out the noise. But that's I think what you just have to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, I think that part of the reason that, you know, it's a subject, maybe it's come to the point where obviously we're addressing it on Auto Dealer Live, but I think one of the reasons it's kind of a subject that's kind of out there is because now on social media, obviously, like everybody sees what everybody else is saying. And I think, you know, and Tommy, before we go to Chris, you know, I want to, you know, kind of bring something up with you. It's like, you know, with Auto Dealer Live, we travel, we go and cover conferences and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we go, everybody that's in the audience, if you will, of the industry that follows the show, we interact with. But sometimes it gets uncomfortable in some situations, Tommy, because we know that this person over here isn't necessarily on the same page with this other person. We really want to, you know, have a relationship with all of them, and it gets uncomfortable sometimes. So let's go to let's go to Chris Saraceno, and let's talk about this from a dealer's perspective. I mean, how do dealers view this, and do they notice, and do you think it affects, you know, who they do business with? Go ahead, Chris.
I believe most dealers do not even notice what's going on in most cases because they don't have time to get on the social media or get involved in it unless it's a vendor saying something about specifically bad about someone else. You know, it doesn't happen. We really look at it. I think most dealers are looking at it and saying, hey, we want to work with a company or a person that their values are in alignment, you know, with the philosophy, values, and overall culture of our company. And I think most dealers, sales managers, dealers, general managers, they do not have the time to be looking online and see what's happening. Again, the only time they will hear it is if you have a vendor saying something to you about somebody else.
Gotcha.
I have a question that just sparked, if I can answer it. As a dealer, similar to how if I'm a consumer interested in a new car and you guys give me a good price, but you know I've never bought from you before, so I'm going to go online and read reviews. Do you as a dealer do that with companies, or I mean in that sense, like when I do reviews, I look at Yelp, I look on Facebook, you know, I look at Google reviews. Like even if it's just like, hey, I've never tried this Thai restaurant before, right? So you know, from that perspective, do you? I know like a lot of dealers like I said aren't as active on social media, but just from hey, I'm going to go to Google, or hey, I'm going to read a review because I'm thinking about doing business with this person or this company. Is that visible, or is that affecting a positive
depending on the
life?
I think that depending on the size of the company. If it's a big company, we look at the reviews. If it's somebody that's an individual consultant, you know, a startup company, because you know a lot of dealers want to work with somebody that's a startup because they know they just got out of retail, and they know they have a proven track record. So what they will do is typically it's either word of mouth, or they will see them somewhere, see a video or posting and say, I like what they're saying, where they will see them in a conference and then approach them at a conference. They will hear about them in a 20 group. So I think, you know, when people are first starting out, you know, and they have their own business or it's a smaller company, 20 groups, conferences, postings, that's how most dealers are finding the smaller companies and contacting them to say, okay, we should work together. Bigger companies have the time, effort, and money to advertise themselves.
Yeah, and Chris, real quick, while we're on that, I'm not going to change the subject, but a question did come up in my mind when you were talking about that. You know, you're a partner at Kelly Automotive Group, and but what about, you know, when you go out and you're at either a dealer 20 group, or maybe one of your dealer friends has maybe given you a reference of someone, or you see them out at a conference, and maybe it is someone brand new. Maybe it's someone who is just really getting started. Are you open-minded to giving someone like that a shot, or do they have to fall into, you know, a longer, deeper track record to sign on board with a big automotive group?
No, we're absolutely open to it. I mean, we have somebody that we've been working with that started their business. They worked for a bigger, one of the bigger training companies, and they left and contacted us a year later. We brought him in and worked with him, and it was just him at the time. I think it's now him and 2 or 3 other people that we work with him on. So we are absolutely open. Now we knew this person beforehand and we liked them, but we're open to people that if we met them, if we watched them, if we heard good things about them from another dealer. It's really referrals or actually watching them that makes a difference to give us a smaller company or startup company a shot.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I'm sure that'll encourage some startups out there. Go ahead,
let's
Tom.
bring Noel into the mix. Actually, I guess my question would be, and I think Chris said it, and I think he echoed what I thought he was going to say, which is like, more or less he said, I don't really pay attention to what you guys do. Like, it's almost like, is that something that vendors do to try to feel important or try to feel like, part of the crew or something like that? Like, because I think there's sometimes a disconnect between car guy and vendor, and a lot of times they're not seen as peers, even though sometimes it's a mutually symbiotic relationship. They're not seen as peers, so they want, so a lot of times they're trying to, like I said, maybe just try to be, hey, I want to sit at the cool kids table at lunch. I want to sit with the jocks. Is that what's going on a little bit? I mean, in regards to because I don't, Chris is I've worked with his company before, and he's a busy guy. My contention is he probably doesn't really care what's going on, or doesn't even know to care. You know what I mean? So, give us your thoughts on everything so far, Noel.
Yeah, no, great point there. And Chris did make some great points, as well as Elise. As far as, I don't know, I'm sure some people's approach, their strategy would be, hey, when you make noise, people listen and pay attention, right? So if you cause chaos, if you stir up the pot, if you come after somebody, if you create dialogue and engagement that way, people will notice. I've never had that strategy. Like Elise said, she took the words right out of my mouth. Sometimes dealing with some of that stuff is just so exhausting. It's like high school all over again. That
it's perfect. I gotta agree with you. Like I was out I was out camping this last week, and it's like, man, I feel bad for like junior high kids and high schoolers, like dealing with all the high school and junior high problems, but with like phones now, because that's exactly like what I felt like. It's screenshots of this and phones just going off. Like, but what is there like a reject where it's like, can I just like block? I don't want to hear about it. If it affects you, negativity is going to breed more negativity. I'm more of a person, I would rather success breed more success, and positive, good, like I said, just positive, good people that, and here's another point to that. It's like, well, how do you know who's positive and good? And I'll be, for me, for 99.9% of the time, like I could hear all the BS talk from the sidelines about an individual. But for me, my personal stance on that is if they haven't affected, if I have, if it's just so-and-so did this to so-and-so, and I could hear the rumors or whatever you want to call it all day long, but until that person like negatively affects me, then I'm going to, respect that individual, even if they're being talked negative about, until if it's a negative individual, is that, or rumors, I'm not going to let it change my relationship with that person from what other people say. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely.
But and going back to kind of what it's just it gets noisy. It's. And up until recently, I honestly haven't had to really deal with anything like this. And it's I'm doing my best just to shut it off and really just move forward, like just move have positivity from every direction.
Sure.
So.
Social media has chimed in.
Yep.
New Car Mark said, if your vendor has the words guru or growth hack on their LinkedIn profile, fire them immediately. I guess
Yep. And Arnold.
Okay, and I love Jim Ziegler to death, and I don't know something, and he the YouTube diva. But I just want I feel weird if I were to ever call myself the guru, or some people call me like the video this and guru. Like YouTube diva is kind of like my cool thing because Jim hooks me up with it. But yeah, maybe it's just because I'm like a humble person, but I think it's good to have confidence in confidence, but definitely not to claim you're I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's just to me, like when I'm a vendor calling myself a guru, or like.
Yep, exactly.
It reminds me of like here's the irony. Here's the irony of it all. The stereotype that I train about for, like, if you go to Google and type in car salesperson, like one of the first images, right, is what like Google says is a car salesperson with the chains and the suede jacket and the cigar in his mouth, right? And we know that the car salesperson is not like that today. Like that's the stereotype, right? But in the same aspect, I feel like if you're going to call yourself a guru, like to me, I just picture, I already have the Google image popped in of like what type of sales like person or like, I mean, like why to call yourself a guru? Yeah, that doesn't I can't agree with that with that one.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
And I want to say this real quick too. I know I'm just like going kind of off the cuff here, but
well, you are the diva.
I'm happy.
The diva.
I am happy to announce I don't know who's listening, but I'm happy to say that I still consider myself a startup. A lot of people, it's a startup. Well, hey man, I'm taking pride in that I'm a startup, and I took for me individually, and a lot of people do this. Jordan Stupar, I don't know if you guys follow him. He's obviously not really focused in automotive, but he took a huge jump to do what he wanted to go all in and do, right? So I'm happy to announce I'm a startup in that case. But I don't work out of my apartment. We'll just put that.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody, kind of is aware of that as well. So, no, great words, Elise. We have Arnold Tiarina weighing in. He's like, OMG, I can't even. He says, I can't even weigh in on this. I know everything about this topic, but I'm in Switzerland. So, Arnold, you obviously typed that in. So, type something else in.
He said he is Switzerland. Like he's neutral on the subject.
He's Switzerland. Got it. I'm sorry. I'm like,
I
thought he was in Switzerland.
Arnold, you're in Switzerland.
And there's something there. If you look at why Switzerland is neutral, it's very interesting. Just look and do some research.
Yeah, Google that. But hey, I want to go back to Noel real quick because Noel, here's the thing. You're a sales trainer, and that's what you're doing, and you're putting yourself out there. And the reason that I kind of want to focus on this for a moment, because as a sales trainer, I think you have the biggest target on you. I really do. No matter who you are out there training, basically in my opinion, when you enter into that arena, you're saying, hey, whether you're saying it or not, people are perceiving it this way. Hey, I know how to do this. I'm going to show you, coach you, help you, train you. And I think that's what puts the big target on you. Unlike a device or maybe a software or a process, it's an individual thing, and it's almost like, okay, this is the person I'm supposed to learn how to sell from or something along those lines. So how do you deal with that kind of pressure, and how do you deal with all of the stuff that comes your way?
Well, great statement there. And so I know where Elise is coming from. I've had my business for 7 years, but for 6 of those years, I still sold cars and moonlighted it. And so I know exactly where Elise is, coming from as far as being a startup. Then I created an online virtual training, which takes, I know Elise has one too. It takes so much time to create that content, to write it, to shoot it, to edit it, to go fly out with the videographer.
I'm going to give a shout out to Michael Sorrell for handling that for me. He's like the best. Anyway, yes, it is a lot of effort.
So you're putting in all that effort and everything, and then you start getting attacked, right? I never got attacked. Like, I've always kind of liked everybody's buddy, right? Like, everybody kind of liked me. I went to the conferences. If I didn't know people, I pretty much knew them online, so it was easy to connect with them and create a relationship. And then, about this time last year, a little bit before that, I just started getting attacked. And so not only am I trying to be a dad, not only am I trying to take my business to full time, not only did we move 2,000 miles, you're just getting attacked while you're trying to do your job and everything else. And it's completely exhausting that you have people tagging you in groups that you never go to where they're having like an attack fest on you. And then people who are tight with you, who kind of follow you, they're sending you screenshots of stuff that they saw on somebody's post or in somebody's group. And it's like, I'm sitting here and it's like I'm trying to create a course which takes tons of energy and focus. And you keep getting these text messages and messengers coming through. And it's just like, man, like Elise said, I don't want to deal with this, right? Like, it's not fun to me.
I almost wish I can go back to like one of those old school flip phones where you can set your limit text messages to like maybe like 100 a month, and then everything else you can just block out.
Right? Yeah, you have to turn on your computer to look at social media.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So no, I appreciate that, Noel, because I do get it. I mean, as trainers, you're going to have a bigger target on you in any case. But we have a caller on the line, I believe. Matt Koenig's on the line.
Yo.
Yes,
Hey, Matt, come on in. Come on into the conversation, Matt. What do you say, man? You've been listening in, hopefully, and go ahead and chime in.
I have chime in. So, in the past 2 years, I can say firsthand I've dealt with a lot of this on the vendor side, and I can tell you exactly to a certainty where all of it stems from, and where all the vendor infighting stems from. There's two things. One, some people, they've seen bigger names, go stir up controversy to build their brand, and they go, oh, I'll do that. But what they fail to realize is, like, when a Grant Cardone does it, he's already got 750,000 followers or whatever. So, the 5% that he pisses off, it doesn't really matter because he's going to pick up 15% more, right? But when you're a smaller company, stirring the pot for the sake of stirring the pot, doesn't always bode well. But the other place that it comes from really is, and I'll just say that in my opinion and from experience, what I've seen is sometimes folks that are a startup, and even I just saw it recently with someone I won't name in a large company, but sometimes when someone is a startup, they feel the best way, like, let me onesie-twosie grab customers, is they'll go behind people's back and they'll shit on them, right, to a dealer or to another vendor. And what they don't realize is, maybe that person, that you just, went and spoke to knows that other vendor, so they'll go back and tell them. And then it just kind of snowballs from there, right? Because we all have an ego, whether we say we don't or do. We all have an amount of pride, right? So we don't want somebody, bad-mouthing us or bad-mouthing our business. So I can just say firsthand from the drama that I've dealt with over the past, I'll say year and a half, I saw it begin with someone just completely lying and talking shit to dealers, and I would have never known had a dealer not flipped their phone around and showed me. Like, I was like, holy cow, I didn't expect that. So I saw that firsthand, but what I should have done in that moment was what I've since done every time drama is stirred up, which is I just disconnect from them on every social channel. If someone ever asks me about them, I just say, I've had experiences with them. Wouldn't give them my money, but it's your money, not mine. So have at it. I let people make their own decisions. Like Elise mentioned earlier, if somebody says, hey, you know what? I don't like Jim Ziegler. I can go, well, that's your choice. I like Jim Ziegler. He's a great guy. He's never done me wrong. So if somebody has an opinion about someone, that's theirs. The only time I now ever speak up is if I've had a personal experience with that vendor or dealer in a bad way, because it happens to you as a vendor. You do business with a dealer, and you think they're a good person. They seem like it, but maybe there's some hiccups in the relationship. But 99.9% of it is vendor to vendor. It's all BS. And at the end of the day, there's only two camps in this world. There's the camp that is a bunch of self-serving assholes out to take as much as they can, regardless of the wake of destruction leave behind them. And then there's the camp of people that feel like if you serve people well, they'll happily open their checkbook and their wallet. I like to think that myself, Elise, and the people that I'm friends with, like you guys at IPD, are in the camp of people that want to serve people well, and you know you'll get paid well for doing it.
I was going to say, which camp have you assigned Tommy and I to?
I think he said it. I think
you know what? I could say with no reservation that the crew at IPD, ADL, you guys, I've been in there. I've watched your people on the phone. You guys actually give a shit, and you serve your dealers like very few people I've ever seen in my life. Hard-working crew. And that's not just to fluff you guys up. I mean, I know we're friends, but come on, if you guys are assholes, I'd tell the world.
No,
it doesn't matter.
No,
I love you, and you guys are great, and you care about your dealers. And that's what sets you apart. That's why you guys are the cream of the crop. There are other people, I'll just leave it nameless, that I've watched what they do. I've seen how dealers have talked about them after doing business with them. And that's camp number 2. And the good news is the cream rises to the top, and the rest goes down the drain, right? Because we stop when we get to the
We appreciate that. Appreciate that, Matt.
So, Chris, let's get you back in the mix in the conversation. Thank you, Matt, by the way. I appreciate that. That was nice things you said about us. And we do. We try because I think, obviously you help people. I know it's cliche, but you help people, and guess what? You're gonna benefit as well. But when it's all said,
on the head, man.
Amen. So when it's all said and done, Chris, let me ask you this. So, I guess probably a lot of this beefing that you're hearing about, a lot of this stuff that's going on outside of your realm of caring, or even what you're seeing. How do you think that might affect you, and just maybe even as something as simple as getting a good product in front of you? You know what I mean? Like, is there so much white noise out there in general that this is just complicates things further? But I mean, you're looking to get efficient processes in place and get vendors who you can plug and play and do what you got to do and move more cars. So is this this conversation, is it even relevant to your day to day?
I would tell you that I probably know a little bit more about what goes on socially than most people, but I know the general managers I work with and the service directors, they don't care about this at all. They don't see it at all. Unless it's something about our dealership that somebody's posting bad, the GMs, the sales managers, they don't look at any of that. They have their camps of different sales trainers they all like, and we debate behind the scene who's better in F&I and who's better in BDC or internet training. So there are those camps. From my point of view, my point of view is that, listen, they wouldn't be in business unless they were good. And they wouldn't, especially if they have a successful business, they wouldn't be in business unless they were good. And being that, I look at it like the gym. It's like someone saying to me, "What do you want to do to get in shape? Do you want to do cardio? Do you want to do yoga? Do you want to do cycle? Do you want to do lifting? Do you want to do free weights, machines?" Listen, they're all good for you. Most of the people out there that are training and have these companies, they're all good if they fit your personality and your philosophy and your values for the dealership. That's really what you have to find, is who's best for your dealership and who's best for the person. Like, for example, we have a specific internet director right now. I know that, she will need a specific person to work well with her. Maybe the person we have now won't do as well with her, but they would work better with the gentleman we have at one of our Ford stores. So sometimes it just comes down to the personality matching even with the leader of that department.
Yeah, and you know what? It's actually refreshing to hear you say some of those things, Chris, because to know that dealers aren't paying attention to some of this is a good thing, I believe. But let's go back to Noel for just a minute, and I'm just going to ask you, Noel, because again, kind of as a trainer with a target, and you obviously from what you expressed earlier, you've experienced those attacks. So let me ask you this: has any of that affected or caused harm to your business, do you believe?
No, I don't believe it has. I mean, there might be some of my clients or some people I've called on out there that have maybe seen some of that stuff. But just basically like what most people said, I take everybody for a grain of salt, take them for who they are, take them for how I meet them. Because, there's always two sides to every story. If somebody says something about so-and-so, I might like this about them, right? So it doesn't matter to me that it bothers them that they talk too much, but I think they're funny. They tell funny jokes or whatever. So I decide there. Once again, it can be quite exhausting. So it can take away from your work there a little bit. because of the time and the energy it's taking. But I don't think it's cost me any clients. Now, I know I did lose some friends on Facebook, but I mean, I wasn't too worried about that. I've actually had some clients kind of come to me because they're like, hey, I heard all these bad things about you, and I kind of started watching your stuff and looking you up a little bit. And they're like, you know, you were actually doing, you know, like, I like what you do. They're like, I like your message and I like your style. So they're like, you know, I kind of didn't find you. I wouldn't have found you really probably if I hadn't heard bad stuff about you, because that's what kind of happens sometimes too,
So
right?
like the old, like,
if you talk bad about somebody, you're like, who are they talking bad about? You know, I want to look this person up. What makes them so bad?
And then you get that bad boy thing going on, and then people want to be like, ooh, I want to do business with the bad guy, because people like that stuff.
Yeah, they're helping you. They're helping you get your name out there, right? They're making you
what's
bigger by default.
Yeah,
so,
no bad exposures.
Was that Chris that wanted to weigh in?
It's a thing. It's a
yeah, I did. I just wanted to say, if someone drops you on Facebook, they probably really weren't your friends if they heard anything. And years ago, I had Mr. Kelly tell me this. Mr. Kelly's in his early 80s right now. And his comment to me when I was 20, I'm 55 right now. I was 22, 23 when he said, Chris, I just want to let you know, nobody will be as happy for your success as what you are, other than maybe your mother and father. He said, so as you grow and do well, you're going to have a lot of people, you know, that won't be happy for you. That's what's going to happen if Noel, Elise, if people talking bad about you, it's because nobody's happy because you're probably doing something right and becoming successful. And I think that's how a lot of the dealers look at it, and people look at it and say, if people are talking about them, they're probably just nervous about what's happening right now, or they're concerned about you taking some share from them, market share from them.
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing is, you know, we've invited open lines today. We obviously Matt called in. We've had some social media comments, but I kind of find it interesting, Tommy, the fact that, you know, our phones aren't blowing up with people, or even on social media saying, hey, you know, this one guy, he's just a rotten egg.
He's a big stinky jerk.
Yeah, right. He's unhealthy. He's this, that. I mean, we're not really seeing that, which is good.
I think it's because it's not like, it can't be genuine hate or loathing. You know what I mean? It's like everyone's trying. I mean, at the end of the day, if you are as a vendor, whatever position you're in or whatever your company does, you put your head down and you grind it out and you do the best you possibly can, and you have morals and you have integrity to ground you, and you have the customer's best interest in mind, you're going to be successful no matter what anybody says about you. And actually, Noel was probably right. You're probably going to get some exposure in the process. If somebody has something bad to say about you, it's like you know, they're probably not going to put a target on the back of somebody that isn't doing nothing. You know what I mean? Who cares about the person that isn't doing nothing? If you're doing something, they're probably going to talk about you. So big whoop. It means you're probably having some moniker of success. Congratulations. Now keep it moving and multiply that and do better. You know. Well, you know, I think at the end of the day, I don't know if you had anything to add to that. I think we got to let everybody kind of wrap things up, give their last statements.
Yeah, I would say we'll wrap it up, and we'll start with Elise. We'll go to Elise, and maybe Elise, you mentioned earlier about, you know, you wish you had the flip phone or something, and you just kind of shut everything off. And I'm guessing, you know, that, you know, at the end of the day, we're all human. So even though, you know, these things that are out there, we can, you know, the strong will tune it out, and, you know, like Tommy said, put your head down, grind it out. We know that's going to happen, but at the same time, you know, they're stealing moments from us when we see those things, aren't they? I mean, like, you know, you have to look at what was said, you know, digest it, and then kind of reset yourself so that you can go back in the right frame of mind and do what you got to do. And so maybe touch on that, and then your closing statements.
No, I mean, it is. You just, I guess that's, you just have to, it's more difficult, I think, now, definitely with, I got to wonder what, like, the 4 smartphones and social media and all this, like, if there was a, I mean, what vendors were, if there was a newspaper advertising company and another, like, I don't know, another event, like, nothing, you didn't have any of this, I would feel like.
They would fax each other. They would fax each other their bad comments towards each other, and they'd do a mass fax around. That's what they did.
They'd write you a letter. They'd write you a long...
They do a chain letter.
They make a new...
Pass this on or your lips will fall off. It's one of those chain letters.
Yeah,
too.
right.
They do those.
It's, but it's, the part where it crosses, like it really is hardest for me is when I'm questioned as a mother or a parent, or my role as either of those. That's where that's where it definitely gets pretty personal. So it's almost it's and I'm going through it's just tough. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to change other people. You're in complete control of who you are, what you represent. You know that who you are as a person. You're the one putting your head down to rest every night. So there's other people you're not going to be able to control, and it's just you have to focus on, like I said, focus on the positivity, focus on your family, your clients, and at the end of the day, that to me is what's most important. But
yep.
When personal stuff with family gets thrown in the mud, it's I don't know how anybody would. I think of that Sandra Bullock movie where she gets out of her BMW and
The Blind Side.
And The Blind Side, where she
that was Pretty
goes,
Woman.
That's the wrong person. You got the wrong actress.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, The Blind Side is pretty often like anything with a role as a parent or a mother or a father for that matter.
That takes it outside. That takes it outside of the realm of professional business, and then it takes it into personal, and that's probably uncalled for if nothing else. Yeah.
So, Elise, take just a moment and share with dealers real quickly what you do and how to contact you.
So, can I call my? It's like I should make a joke here and call myself a guru. No, I'm. So what I do is I was fresh out of retail. I was in retail 3 years ago, and I kind of took my processes. My success in selling cars and being a one-person BDC, and I developed a process that I now streamline, that I now train. It's a formula. It's hands-on. And then with that, of course, is Bomb Video Email, which is, me always kind of being in the video email realm of things, even when I was selling cars. Now Bomb is, it's an amazing platform that you can make all the video emails you want super easy. So
agreed.
How can people reach you, Elise?
You know what? This is crazy. I was just telling someone this but my phone right now is like I've had this phone number since 2001 or whenever, and I might change it because it's just. But anyways, I'll leave my email. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter and so forth. You can just Google me. But my email is Elise, ELISE, at EliseKephart.com. And that's also all my website and everything that I'm about. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Elise, for being on the show today. We're going to go to Chris Saraceno for closing comments.
Hey,
go
quick
ahead.
question. How far are you guys from Orlando?
We are about 45 minutes to an hour.
What?
Yes.
I'm going to be in Orlando.
Well, get yourself over here, Elise. Of course, you have an open door invitation at any time. So we'd love to see you.
All right.
Awesome.
All right. Sounds good.
Chris?
Well, as always, I'd say it's a pleasure and honor to be on the show, and my advice is just to have everybody stay focused like a laser beam, and everything happened for a reason, and I'm going to give the same advice that I used to give my daughters, that we all learned from Bambi when we watched Bambi, and Thumper's mother said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. I would say don't say it or don't post it, and just stay focused on doing your job.
Look at that.
Great
Simplicity.
Words. Great words.
Perfect.
Thank you, Chris, and
Thanks,
thank
buddy.
you so much for taking time today to be on the show. And if anyone wants to reach out to Chris, I see obviously on the screen your Twitter is at Chris B. Saraceno. Any other way that you would want anyone to contact you, Chris?
Well, or Facebook, same thing. They could contact me on Facebook and LinkedIn. It'd be Chris Saraceno, and my Instagram is Chris B. Saraceno. So you could get me. I'm on pretty much on most of the social sites. But the easiest way to do it is just call me on my cell phone, and my cell phone's posted, at all the Kelly dealership numbers, and it's posted on LinkedIn and everywhere. So you're always welcome to call me.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris.
Awesome. And Mr. Noel Walsh, thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Yes.
Give us your thoughts.
Well,
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate being on, and I'm glad I got to be on for this topic. And what I would tell, especially the salespeople out there is, that you're going to have this kind of garbage, this kind of banter, this kind of arguing back and forth. And there is so much good content on social media. Elise has a ton. I believe I have good stuff. There's tons of people out there with good content. So when you're taking the time out of your day to go to social media and you aren't marketing or engaging with your customers, you've got the opportunity to either find something that's going to bring you up and motivate and inspire you and give you actual tools and strategies that you can use, or you can focus on two people going back and forth, making fun of each other, talking about how bad the other person is. So I would just use your time wisely. We all get 24 hours a day. The most successful salespeople I've ever seen, and I always see, utilize their day to the fullest. So like I always teach and like I always say, focus on what pays you and don't worry about anything else, because it's a waste of time. If you find yourself slip into one of those slippery slopes, just turn your head and keep walking the other way. It doesn't make you tough. It doesn't make you standing up for yourself. A lot of times what it'll do, like Elise said and I've said earlier, and even Chris with some of his little stories that said that, it's just going to suck up your time, and it's not going to add any value to anything.
All right, and how do dealers reach you? Just real quickly, and maybe your 30-second elevator pitch, tell dealers how you could help them and how they can reach you.
Yeah, so absolutely. My name's Noel Walsh, NWNA Sales Training. I also have Conquer You online virtual sales training, which is nearly 1,000 videos, 50 hours, and 1,100 questions of what I use to sell cars for 16 years. You can find me at my website, which is nwnaSalesTraining.com. Email me at noel@nwnaSalesTraining.com. I'm all over Facebook quite often. I'm on Instagram, the Noel Walsh. I'm on Twitter at Noel Walsh, and LinkedIn. And basically, I'm online quite a bit. I work out of an office here, out of my home. So when I'm not on the road, I'm usually on the phone or creating content or online. So I'm easy to find.
Awesome. Thank you, Noel. And thank you to Chris, Elise, everyone for being on the show today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You guys as well.
Thanks for having me. Nice to meet you, Chris. Good to see you again, Elise.
All right. Thank you. So what do you say there, Tommy? Tommy boy?
I think too, something just as I was listening to people talk, something that struck me. It's just like, we need to really watch, risk sounding cheesy or whatever. We need to watch what we put in our ears. We need to watch what we watch, and put in our eyes. We need to be conscious of that, because, you may not be part of any kind of beef that was happening. It may not necessarily, affect you directly, but just that negativity, it's not conducive to anybody that has to deal in the car business. Between the car business, on the car guys who are working 70, 80-hour weeks, killing themselves to sell cars, whether in management or on the blacktop selling cars themselves, or you got the vendor side of it who has to, try to be good enough to get a foot in the door with those guys who are the most skeptical and the most, sometimes even the most abrasive guys to deal with. And you have both of those, and then you're gonna further complicate an already complicated profession and job by feeding negativity and feeding stuff that just doesn't I don't know. It's not life-giving. It's not positive. It's not good.
Right.
And I know people get beef with each other, and sometimes it's legitimate or whatever, but it's like life's too short. You know what I mean? For goodness sakes, life's too short to mess with, nonsense and stuff. You say, okay, you don't like what he does. Okay. Your best revenge is to just be successful and do your own thing. You know what I mean? Who cares? Yeah. But.
Yeah, so hopefully, because everybody on the show today kind of had an overall same kind of theme, and that we need to, kind of pay a whole lot less attention to it. Don't pay attention to it. Move on. Focus on what you've got. Stay positive, and hopefully just talking about it today maybe will not only calm the waters, not that there's a storm out there, but the point is that maybe someone will think a little bit more before posting something so negative or something negative.
Yeah, but that probably is not going to pay your bills. So you probably
not going to.
Probably not.
So Let's talk about some upcoming things that are happening.
Yes.
With shows and whatnot.
I
believe the next
the
next big thing is the
Women Automotive.
Oh, is that what you were
That's what I'm
referring
saying.
to? Yeah, that's what you were saying.
I don't know. That's what they call it.
Yeah, it's probably not what they call it, but
huh?
WIA.
But I said
Women in Automotive. Now,
the same thing.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Dave Villa is a keynote speaker there, right?
Yes, he is.
I will not correct
yes,
you. You were correct.
Absolutely. So, Dave, when you get a chance to watch the show, wish you the best there. But for those of you who are attending, what a treat! I mean, it's amazing. I always want a front row seat when Dave speaks, no matter where it's at. So.
I wonder if Elise was going to be there. Was that she talking? She said she was going to be.
Yeah,
in
actually, Elise is going to be there for the first time this year. This is their third annual, I believe.
Third.
I was at the first one, was absolutely blown away. It's something not only very unique, but it's just something you have to experience. Male, by the way, male or female, welcome at that automotive conference. Women in automotive.
I've never been invited, but I believe my type is allowed.
Right, your type is allowed.
Yes.
So, going to be a great event. Check that out. I believe you can find that at womeninautomotive.com. Is that correct, guys? Yep. So,
there's going to be all kinds of good stuff happening. There's going to be good speakers galore. I know Subi's going to be there. We have who else?
Yeah.
Who else was on the roster? Who's we?
Yep.
IPD is going to be there.
IPD or
IPD,
ADL?
IPD, the whole crew, ADL.
IPD,
I again will be
So the whole
shunned
team-
from this event,
The whole
except for
crew
me.
is gonna be there.
The whole
I don't know how I keep missing out on these events.
I don't think I'm going to be there, so I don't know.
Well,
but
huh? It's in Orlando.
it's in Orlando.
I'm
There's
not
no travel
flying to
involved.
Orlando.
It's like,
I have a car.
By
I'll
the
get in
way,
my car
guys,
and go to
the
Orlando. Never
reason
mind.
Yeah.
Tommy's not going.
I
is
just connected the
Tommy
dots.
Does not like to travel. He's scared of planes.
We just said that.
He
It's
is scared of
Orlando. Are you
Your mic's
retarded?
Your
So
mic's
we're gonna-
not on. At least not in my ears, or maybe it's
I'm
not
on.
turned
That's
on.
not on
Okay,
purpose.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
the reason your mic's not on.
Okay.
We don't need to hear nothing out of your face.
Yeah, exactly.
Face.
So,
Face.
Don't hear the crap out of you. I'll squeeze your
I just connected the
face.
dots.
that
When
thing?
Elise said that she'd be in Orlando, I wasn't thinking.
I was being
oh,
assumptive,
it's
but I
because of
assumed
the women
probably
in
2 and 2.
automotive.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
So yeah, there you go. So yeah, at least come on over to IPD as well. Just make sure you come on the day that everybody's actually here and
wanna
not
look-
in Orlando.
That'd makes sense. Yes.
The,
I want to
Women in
look into that
Automotive
bomb
conference.
thing.
I watched Taxi Driver yesterday.
Yep.
What was
It
it?
was
De Niro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. It's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You made that face. That's what I thought of, and I wanted to tell you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, yeah, it was a crazy movie.
So I think that's about it. Next week, obviously. Now, next week, are we broadcasting
It's gonna be
from?
the behind the
Doing a highlight show. Read the script.
Oh, we're gonna do a highlight show. So,
go.
I'm
so
gonna
you'll catch a
drop you
glimpse.
in the face.
Don't let
Yes,
that
you're gonna
keep
get
you
right
from
after
going
this.
to the event, because you're only going to catch glimpses of it. But we will have a highlight show featuring women on automotive, and then we've got some amazing shows upcoming after that. So stay with us.
Stay
Yep.
tuned.
And Dave Villa will be back
Dave Villa will
next
be
week.
back.
God willing, we'll be back with you too. And I enjoy doing shows with you, Cribs. Just me and you. I think we do. I think
Thank you, sir.
think
Thank
we're a
you.
pretty good team.
You are
know?
the man. You are the man.
Well, I came to the show, so
All right, we're out. We'll see you next week. Auto Dealer Live.
God bless y'all. Peace.